If you or a loved one are struggling with type 2 diabetes, you should visit the link in the description below. This clinically proven, drug-free program lowers blood sugar to a normal level and can completely reverse type 2 diabetes within just a few weeks. Here's today's video.
The question, what do I do to lessen my chances to get diabetes? Answer by Ron Hunter. What you've stated is that you have a normal weight, a very slightly elevated A1C, but have a family history of diabetes. So, unless you have things like high blood pressure or high triglycerides, you aren't showing the typical signs of metabolic syndrome. This means by most objective measures you're still doing fine. The hidden and difficult to measure factor in people that have a family history of diabetes is insulin in the body. You can ask your doctor to do things like fasting insulin levels or C-peptide tests, but they really don't tell much since the body has a very dynamic insulin response curve to things in the diet. What you need to do with a family history of diabetes is watch very closely your intake of dietary carbohydrate. The reason so many people are either type 2 diabetic or labeled as pre-diabetic is that a large percent of the population have problems with dietary carbohydrate causing an abnormal insulin response in the body. The big question is just how much you need to watch dietary carbohydrate. That depends on your individual metabolism, which as of right now seems to be doing fine. By objective measures you can get away with things like sweets. Still, the question is as you age whether this response will persist. Right now, you don't appear to need to totally eliminate things like sweets, but I think everyone benefits from greatly reducing those things. You will need to watch your weight, watch your metabolic markers like blood pressure and triglycerides, and try to eat fewer and generally low glycemic carbohydrates. Exercise is great and helps with insulin sensitivity, but as a lot of experts say, you cannot exercise yourself out of a bad diet. So, what you eat is primary and exercise, while important, is secondary. You can avoid diabetes if you remain vigilant. If you start gaining weight or getting high triglycerides, then you need to dramatically change your carbohydrate intake. Answer by Sachin Kadan. Eating delicious and sumptuous food is what each one of us craves for. After experiencing some long and tiring working hours in the office, eating well at night seems to be life's greatest pleasure. In this regard, having being affected with diabetes shouldn't stop anyone from that bliss. Although, it is quite reasonable that people with chronic diabetes have quite different nutritional needs, due to which, many times, diabetic recipes can be acknowledged to be bland and tasteless. However, today, different healthy ingredients can be obtained from different parts of the world, and hence with a smart planning of your meal to allow you to manage your diabetes with the same taste and nutritional requirement. The write-up may brief our readers about few food tips to explore with better understanding of diabetes and body's nutritional requirement. Better understanding of carb requirement. Knowing about how much carbohydrates are needed and what are the different kinds that are required would be your first step towards planning your diabetic recipes. In this regard, it is interesting to understand that there are about 3 different kinds of carbohydrates in the food, such as starches, sugars and fibers. Starchy food may include vegetables like peas, corn, lime beans, potato beans, etc. Whole grains such as oats, barley and rice can as well be categorized under starch. Although, it is important to understand that grains can be divided into whole grain, containing all the 3 germ layers and with all the necessary nutrients it has to offer, whereas refined grain is mainly connected with middle endosperm layer, which doesn't contain any vitamins and nutrients, except for the starchy material. Sugars are classified as direct sugar, obtained from sugarcane, nectar, confectionaries, and other raw sources, as well as indirect sugar that is being obtained from milk, fruits, etc. Fiber is the plant source and is required for healthy digestive system. It can contribute your nutritional requirement by making you feel full and satisfied. Thus, it would be wise to optimize your carbohydrate requirement by opting for the most nutrient-dense choices, with smaller portion size. For that matter, you need to avoid sugary drinks, including soda, sweet tea, fruit punch, etc. Whole fruits should be preferred instead of juice. Sweet potatoes can be better alternative for white potato and whole grain oatmeals. Brown rice and or barley should always be welcome. More indulgence towards diabetic superfoods. Thus, your healthy diabetic recipes should contain diabetic superfood as listed below with a known low glycemic index and key nutrients such as calcium, potassium, fiber, magnesium, as well as vitamins mainly A, C and E. These superfoods can be beans, dark green leafy vegetables, citrus varieties, sweet potatoes, berries and tomatoes, fish with high content of omega-3 fatty acids, whole grains, nuts as well as fat-free milk and yogurt. The combination of these super ingredients with counted amount of carbohydrate can come up with the most nutritious yet tasty meal which can be consumed without any fear of sugar shoot up. But of course meal size should be smaller. Conventional treatment pattern for diabetes is having higher emphasis on inflammatory drugs and good nutritional supplements. However, they lack effective management of the said disease, along with some additional challenges of preventing their damaging effects. On the contrary, recently launched stem cells therapy can be considered as the better alternative to effectively reduce disease progression and restore lost cellular function. Advanced cells. Answer by Sriram Lakshmi Narayanan. I am Indian, vegetarian, male, 52 and type 2 since 2012. My HbA1c was at 11 and now at 6. I take no medication. I have a great doctor. I don't see your age in your question and so I assume you are below 30. Nor do I see your HbA1c and so I assume it's below 5.4. I can share what's worked for me. I cut out white sugar from my coffee. It started tasting so much better. I can never go back to adding sugar in my coffee ever again. I started walking for an hour every day in the outdoors. I do the treadmill only when it's raining. Started DOI resistance exercises, look-up, push-ups, squats, mountain climber, crunches, lunges etc. I do any 4, 15 by 3 reps in the morning. Lift weights a little. That's all. I spend 15 minutes after workout sitting and meditating. Chanting AUM 30 times with mouth open relaxes me. Breakfast is whole grain or millet dosa or roti with boiled vegetables. I add paneer to it generously. Munch 3 servings of raw and boiled vegetables with 1 serving of rice. 1 bowl of curd. Evening snack is a bowl of boiled black peas, steamed peanuts with added sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, 2 Brazil nuts and a little dried berries for the sweet taste. Dinner is lentil soup yellow down, with idli or dosa, coconut chutney or pudina chutney. I have a cup of warm milk with a little turmeric before I go to sleep. When wellness and change of lifestyle kicked in, I by choice started avoiding fried food, processed foods, ice creams and other sweets that were made from processed flour and white sugar. I like sweets made with organic jaggery, good, and whole grains, grams, seasonal fruits, dates, honey, jaggery, berries are best to satiate the sweet tooth. Lastly, I chew my food well. I don't talk or watch TV or text when I eat my food. My food is my communion. Have your family support your choice of lifestyle. Practice gratitude. Relax, smile and forgive. Wish you good health and a great life.